Welcome to the Badass Reset Club, the place where we stop waiting for motivation and start building strength, energy, and resilience. I'm your host, Heather Yancey, speaker, coach, and alignment specialist. And this is the place for women to come to hit the reset wherever they might need it. Let's jump in. Welcome back to the Badass Reset Club. I'm your host, Heather Yancey. Happy 2026. Oh, we got a new look, a new feel, a new vibe going on here. And we're going to kick this one off with a case for cardio because you know what? Cardio still matters. And we're going to talk about why it works best when it's paired with strength training. But I have been thinking of rebranding, thinking of, changing things up a little bit. We're going to talk about why cardio needs a rebrand. I've been looking at things that are in my feed, in social media. It's really getting to me. Cardio is not the enemy. It's been misused. It's been a little bit thrown under the bus, but I think it's also been misunderstood. When I look at influencers, and that makes me cringe a little, when I see influencers on social media in fitness who are completely trashing cardio so that only strength training and walking is a thing that's done in midlife. Yes, those are so important. I talk about them all the time. But we can't just throw cardio away. We need it. It's not a problem, and it's not the problem. And it's also not cardio versus strength. What the problem would be is cardio without strength. And we've got to get over the fact that cardio doesn't mean punishment. It's not about shrinking. It's not about endless HIIT. It's really about heart health. It's about metabolic health. It's about mitochondrial health. It's about longevity. And it also has to do with your confidence. So I want to start off with just saying, strength is what builds your engine, but cardio teaches that engine to run efficiently. So let's dive in. We're going to talk about the case for cardio, and we're going to talk about it in big buckets of health. You are hearing this from the former cardio queen. I did cardio 85-90% of the time for the better part of 15 years. And I love cardio. I love running. I'm an endurance junkie. But I did switch over. I did become that extreme lover of strength training for what it does for our body composition, for our bones, for, feeling confident and strong and badass. I will never leave my strength training. But just letting you know, this is coming from a former person who absolutely loved cardio. It's what I lived for. And if we're going to think about cardio and putting it into these big buckets of health, we're going to break it down. The first bucket we would talk about is going to be cardiovascular and metabolic health. Those are the most important ones. Cardio helps us to lower cardiovascular disease. It helps us to improve insulin sensitivity and blood sugar regulation. It helps us to support blood pressure and cholesterol profiles. And, I've got a history of heart disease, and I have, parents that both dealt with cholesterol issues. There's a genetic component to this. And so if I need to fight that genetic component, I'm going to use everything that I can. And cardio is going to be one of them. It also improves your VO2 max. And that's a major predictor for longevity. So if you're someone who tracks these things, if you're someone who pays attention to, what's happening with your VO2 max, what's happening with your blood pressure. Ooh, guilty. My doctor will tell you I'm a little guilty from taking my blood pressure as much as I probably should. But I use cardio as this tool to help me for that particular bucket. And if we move on to the next bucket, that's going to be your mitochondrial health and your energy. Cardio improves the mitochondrial numbers and efficiency. So the better your mitochondria, the better your energy, the better your fat oxidation, the better your recovery. It's especially important in midlife when mitochondrial function starts to naturally decline. So we don't look at it as a failure. It's just something that naturally happens. So let's do everything that we can in our power to keep that mitochondrial function jamming. Years ago, I was on a Ragnar team, the 200-mile relay. And I've done this for the better part of almost every year except 2020 since 2009. in the early days, I was on the mitochondriacs, and I remember being part of the mitochondriacs and not fully understanding what the hell that meant. What was our team name? I didn't even know. It's a bunch of Microsoft people who, were just lovers of running as well. So every time I hear mitochondria, I get a little throwback to the red shirts from that team of the mitochondriacs. When we think about our mitochondria and our energy, your energy is precious. It's so precious. And oftentimes we're feeling like we're a little bit depleted in energy. And so we've got to make sure that we have this fine balance, and wait for it because it's coming, what that balance is. We've got to have the fine balance of how we're training, how we're recovering. So this cardio, it doesn't just mean go add in all the cardio. We've got to be smart about it. So let's move on to the third bucket. That's your longevity and your health span. Cardio is going to support heart health. It's going to support brain health. It's going to support mobility and independence as we age. So it's not just about living longer. It's about being a little more capable as we're living longer. We want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to support this journey and making sure that we have the right doses. The, right balance is going to be key. And the fourth bucket that we're going to talk about is feeling stronger and more capable in real life. Like, how does this apply to your real life? Are you walking those hills in your neighborhood without gassing out? Are you carrying in the 5 bags of groceries like the badass you are, or hiking or traveling, or just, busy living? Cardio is going to help build that confidence. It's not just conditioning. It's helping you to make sure that you feel more capable with those real life tasks. So let's talk about what that minimum effective dose is. And these are guidelines without guilt. Like, I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, well, I don't do that, so I must not be, doing what I'm supposed to do. There's many ways to hit this. There's many ways to skin the cat, as they say. So here's the baseline guidelines. We all know, we've all been told we need 150 minutes of moderate intensity cardio per week. Maybe you didn't know that it was moderate intensity. Maybe you just kind of thought it was 150 minutes of like movement or cardio. No. Moderate intensity. So if we take our regular walking, sometimes we're not at a moderate intensity when we're out for a walk. Sometimes it's a real leisurely walk to get some fresh air. And so we've got to pay attention to that minimum dose, 150 minutes. If you're not doing 150 minutes, you can look at it this way. You could do 75 minutes of vigorous activity. And we're going to kind of talk about what that means in just a moment of, what is moderate, what is vigorous. But you could look at it as either more of your moderate or less of a vigorous, or maybe a beautiful combination of both. So here's some examples. Just thinking out loud here. You could do like 5 30-minute moderate sessions. You could do 3 45 to 60-minute moderate sessions. You could do 3 25-minute vigorous sessions. You get where I'm going with this? Like, shorter sessions can be stacked across the week. Those absolutely count. When it comes down to your time, to your energy, what is there to give? Where do you have the space for that? It doesn't need to be perfect. You just need to make sure that each week this is happening. So let's talk about what actually counts as cardio. And this is going to maybe help clear up confusion. Moderate intensity cardio, that is 50 to 70% of your max heart rate. It's zone 2 energy. It's like real fast, brisk walking. And oftentimes that's not me on the walk with my dogs because she stops to smell too much. It's hiking on a moderate terrain. It's light cycling. It's jogging at a conversational pace. It's easy swimming. It could be rucking. It's where you can talk, but you can't necessarily sing your favorite song. And this is really important with moderate intensity cardio. The important piece of it is you're building the aerobic base. You're supporting fat metabolism. You're improving recovery from strength training. That's why we do it. If we're going to look at what is vigorous, so compare that moderate to the vigorous. Vigorous is going to be 70 to 85% of your max heart rate. So go back, moderate's 50 to 70, Vigorous is going to be 70 to 85. These are your zones 3 to 5. This is your running. This is your hit or sit style workouts. This is your spinning. This is like those tempo cycling workouts. This is rowing sprints. It's really aggressive hiking with, those hilly intervals. And this is where it's important. It helps your VO2 max. It trains your heart, and heart rate recovery. It's efficient use of your time. It's higher recovery cost. You get it done quicker. You can't just do one. We need both. But as far as how much of both, that's up to you. So go back to what I was saying with 150 minutes of the moderate intensity or 75 of vigorous, or maybe a happy combination of each. Where I see women often get a little stuck is they stick with just that moderate. They don't add in that vigorous. They don't feel comfortable getting really uncomfortable, and it shouldn't feel comfortable. Or they're attacking all the time, but they're not getting more of that baseline. So just think about those important reasons why we do both. The lower intensity is good for fat metabolism. It's good recovery from your strength training. It helps you build that aerobic base. That higher is what's really going to help you improve your VO2 max. It's going to train your heart rate recovery, and it's going to be an effective use of your time. So think about, how do you pepper in both of those? When I'm programming for my clients, my online clients, they get a day that's zone 2. They get a day where they're doing sit, and sit they can do however they can get it done. If you don't remember what sit is, or if this is new the first time you're hearing this, sit is your sprint interval training. And this is where you're going to get warmed up. Let's say you're on a treadmill, or let's say you're on a rower, or you could be on a bike, stair climber, whatever it is. Let's say you're on the treadmill. You're going to do 5 minutes of an easy jog. And then you're going to do 3, 4, maybe even 5 sprints. You're going to do a 30-second sprint, and the sprint gets uncomfortable. You are to the point that you couldn't do any harder. And then you fully recover. You can fully recover for 90 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then you repeat it. You can recover by walking. You can recover by going back to the easy jog. Just watch that your heart rate's coming down, your perceived rate of exertion is coming down. And sit is something that just has to be done. Now, we used to think that sit had to be a standalone, that it had to be on a day where you weren't training because it was so taxing to your body. But now we know, because it's so short, you could add sit right into the end of a strength training workout. You absolutely could, or the end of a walk. It is going to be done in 15, 20 minutes. And then you've got some amazing benefits. Cardio and strength. This is your sweet spot. So let's remember, this is not an either or. This is together. We are going to bring these things together, because strength protects our muscle. It protects our bones. But cardio is going to improve our delivery system. So think about your heart, your lungs, your blood vessels. Together, we're going to lower the injury risk. We're going to have better metabolic outcomes. And what might that look like? That might look like, for you, 2 to 3 strength days. That might look like 2 to 4 cardio days. And remember that some of those sessions can overlap. So you might lift and have a short recovery or a short cardio finisher. You might do a strength day and walk later. You might do conditioning circuits that blend both of those. You can absolutely put them together. The way that I program is I like to have, most of my women are 3, if not more, days of strength training, just because they've been doing it for so long. I like to have that be the base, and then you sprinkle in the sit can come at the end of one of the strength training days. It's a super lovely finisher. Then I sprinkle in zone 2s, and they might get 2 zone 2 days, for their mental health, to go out, have a run, do the things that they love to do with the groups that they love to hang with. But it's really tied in and around the strength training first. So we need them both, but we've got to make sure that we've got that strength first, and then we figure out the cardio. Thinking about recovery from cardio. This is really important, especially for midlife ladies, for those ladies who are 40 and up. Cardio is a stressor, and it still needs recovery. So we have to think about matching the intensity to our life stress. This is how we recover. We use zone 2 on high stress weeks. So if I know that a client has a really tough week. They're presenting a lot, they're traveling a lot, they're feeling really stressed out. I'm going to schedule in more zone 2 instead of giving them the sit that week. There are times when sit might not be appropriate, and that's actually a really good thing to learn about yourself. How are your stress levels? How are you recovering? Are you tracking that recovery? How's your sleep? So, we got to think too about fueling appropriately. We don't earn food. We need to make sure that we're fueling our body. This is a recovery strategy for cardio. Think about this. If you have a really good night of sleep, you're going to have a great cardio session the next day. If you don't sleep well, you probably want to go easier, shorter if cardio is on your checklist the next day. And we can rotate these hard and easy days. We can make some of them flow with your recovery. So I like Whoop. I also have clients who wear Aura. It gives me a good piece of information, a good heartbeat on where they are with their recovery. And we obviously are going to go off how we feel as well. But sometimes we feel pretty good, but our heart rate variability is lower than how we feel. And that's a real good indicator that we need to pull back a little bit, and the cardio would not be super intense on that day. So just think red flags. If you've had too much cardio, the red flags, poor sleep, that's going to come into play. You're going to have an elevated resting heart rate. You're going to be constantly tired and dragging your feet. You're going to have a loss of strength progress. You're not going to see yourself getting stronger in the gym. Let's talk about how to fuel for the cardio. So carbs are not optional for performance, right? Ladies, I think a lot of us are fed this, you need to back off the carbs once you're in midlife. And yes, there are some people who function better on a low carbohydrate diet, but we need carbs for performance. If you are going to be doing cardio, you need carbohydrates. This is really important for those days that you have sit or higher intensity sessions. When you're done with a cardio session, you're going to have protein to protect your muscle. Yes, even after cardio. You're going to have carbs to replenish your glycogen. You're going to have hydration with electrolytes to help you out as well. So we just think like under fueling cardio is what turns into a stress grenade. That thing is just going to blow if you're not taking care of yourself. What is the best cardio? Do we know? It's the one you're going to do. So let's just think about our options. What are you going to do for cardio? Is it cycling outdoors when the weather's nice? Is it going to dance class? Is it a sport that you're involved in? Who's playing pickleball today? Think about the things that you will do and emphasize those things. So if you were loving walking for cardio, can you have walks that differentiate the cardio feel? Can you pick up your pace? If you're listening to music while you're walking, can you walk faster to a more upbeat tempo song? Think about how can you emphasize what you currently love, because that's the one that you're going to stick to. If you're not a runner, if you hate running, guess what? That running streak is going to be really short. So find what you love and make it work for you. It has to be sustainable. It has to work for you. Right? So I want you to think too about cardio is not there to shrink your body. That was me in my 30s. That absolutely was me. I would go for a run so I could get thinner. Those days are gone. We don't think about it shrinking our body anymore. We think about it more as expanding our capacity for building all of those systems. So just remember that strength is building you up and cardio is keeping you going. So the next time that you see these influencers on social media telling you to ditch the cardio, I want you to step back and I want you to put the science back in. And I want you to think about, does that make sense? When someone's telling you something, does that make sense? Do your due diligence, vet this stuff, and just think about this too. Cardio is not stealing any gains. It's just protecting your future. I hope that this landed for you. I hope that you're getting more excited about your own training program, about how you approach things. And maybe it opened your eyes to how you need to lay things out. But I definitely hope that it opened your heart to understanding why we need more cardio. Thanks for listening to this episode. Please share with someone who might need this information too. And we'll see you next time on the Badass Reset Club. Thanks for hanging out with me today in the Badass Reset Club. Consider this your reminder that you do not need a full-blown life implosion, a dramatic new me announcement, or that suspiciously expensive retreat to make a change. Hit that follow button for real conversations, useful tools, and the occasional loving kick in the leggings so that you can feel stronger, more energized, and fully in charge of what happens next.